Well, hey everybody, it's Vicki Jean here with Vicki Jean Wilson Art, and we are going to do our first 15-minute watercolor mini. Now, what I mean by mini is it's a 15-minute mini class, and it could be on with watercolor, it could be with acrylic paint. It might be on colored pencils. It could be just sketching. And so I thought about this the last time, well, before the last time I talked to you guys, that we had our live. And, I just, I explained to you guys how I am wanting to have more of a stress-free mindfulness, just things like that in our group here. And if it's going to be anything other than that, which art of any kind is supposed to be healing, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's a mini or if it takes us an hour and a half. It's supposed to be calming and healing and just kind of a mindful moment that we have. But I do realize, and I get feedback, that sometimes an hour and a half is a little long for some people. And so I decided to go ahead and in our creating art through well, what in the world are we? Clearing your mind through art. That we're going to do more of these smaller things and different forms of art that takes a little bit of time, not as much time as an hour and a half or 2-hour painting. Those will be on my art page, Vicki Jean Wilson Art. So, anyway, this is our first one. Now, today will be longer than 15 minutes. I'm going to kind of check the time and watch it, actually, because I am kind of curious. When you're sitting there in front of the TV and you're sketching or you're doing something, you don't really pay much attention to the time. I don't. Because I'm just trying to maybe clear my mind, right? It might be in the evening. It's before bed sometimes. Sometimes I read, and then sometimes I just maybe sketch or do something art-wise. Well, it usually doesn't last long. I don't go in real depth with that, and I do something maybe quick and just kind of fun, maybe relaxing, right? I don't have to put a lot of thought into it. So that's the whole idea of these 15-minute classes here. Now today, I know I didn't give you much of a chance, much of a notice of this, because right here with that hurricane that came in, we are in southern Indiana, and it is raining and raining and raining. So we're getting the remnants from that hurricane that came in. And so I thought, you know what? A lot of people might be stuck at home. I just thought maybe we'll just do it today, right? So I would like to do these, and they're going to be probably more of a pop-up type of thing. And that's what today was, kind of a pop-up. So today, when I decided to do a watercolor maple leaf, this is my little sketch here. This is my earlier sketch. And I got to thinking, this is one of the leaves, to me, personally, is hard to sketch out. I think it is. It's not just like a teardrop shape. It's not a heart shape. It's a little bit more difficult to do. So I started doing a little bit of research, and I looked online. I didn't come up with this, but I did like this idea. Now, there's different ways you can do this. And if you look on YouTube, then you can find different options for you. But today, I chose this one here. And I want to show you how you can sketch this out, and it makes it a little bit easier to draw a maple leaf. So today I'm using watercolors, and I have my watercolors out here. So when I say the 15 minutes, we are probably going to take possibly 15 minutes to sketch it and 15 minutes to paint it. But we'll see. So most of the time it's going to be either or. It's either we're going to do a sketching activity or we're going to do a painting activity. And the 15 minutes kind of starts, if it's already sketched, 15 minutes kind of starts when we start painting. So that's kind of ideal. You know, we're not going to have a timer going off. We don't need that kind of stress, right, guys? So, but I'm just kind of checking this out and seeing. This is the first one that I'm doing online, and we're just going to see what happens, right? So, this is my paints that I'm using. I've got watercolor, like I said. I put the paints in the comment section in case you got to see that. You might not have, but here we go again. We're going to go over this. This is ultramarine blue, which you won't be able to probably tell any difference between the blue and the brown. This ultramarine blue, I've got alizarin crimson, I've got cadmium yellow, I've got yellow ochre, and I've got burnt umber here. So we've got a blue, a red, a yellow, a warmer yellow, and a brown. That's what I'm choosing to use. You can use whatever colors you want, because, you know, when you think about the fall leaves, and they're falling like crazy here, most of them that I see now, they're just burnt. They're just brown because we've lacked so much rain. But there is a few that's showing up in my backyard that is yellow. There's more yellow right now, and there's a few that's a little bit of an orange. So just kind of keep in mind of the fall colors. And this leaf is completely what you want to do. You know, you can mix whatever colors you like. I'm going to show you how I'm going to mix mine. So that's the colors that we use. So we're going to start, and we're going to sketch this little guy. It is time now. I got on here just a few minutes early. Let me take me a cup of, goodness sakes, help me, a drink of coffee. Got me some pumpkin spice coffee, and I'm happy little camper here. Okay, here we go. This is the way that I think I kind of liked sketching this leaf. So, as you can see from here, I darken the areas that I kind of liked to give me a guide. So let's go for it. I'm going to show you. What we're going to do is you're going to get your pencil out, and of course, I've got watercolor paper. I happen to have a 5x7 sheet, and it's on a block. So see, it's all nice and neat, all together. And I love these little things. And I had this little guy, and I haven't used him yet. It's 100% cotton watercolor block. There's only 20 sheets in here. It's 140 pound, 5x7, cold pressed. And I bought this a while back, and I thought, I'm going to use that. This is the exact thing I need to use for these little minis. So here we go, guys. I've got my pencil, and I do have a eraser in case I don't like the shape, right? So get your eraser. I don't recommend using the pink. Get you a nice eraser that will work well with watercolor, and it won't tear your paper, or you won't have the pink smudges, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do a line, top to bottom. I've got mine a little bit of an angle. It's not straight up and down. From that line, about 3/4 of the way, I'm going to do just a tiny little dot. That's just kind of my little symbol that I know where I need to do my other areas. I'm not too far down, but I'm a little bit more than halfway between my top and my bottom. So then from this, I'm going to go out into kind of a V line here. Line here. And then I'm going to go across and hit that center line, that little dot, like here. Then from this dot again, we're going to come out. Not as far. I'll probably bring this line a little down farther, but we'll see about that. But that's the main thing. You do your first line here, you do your V, you do your cross that center, and then you do these shorter little guys right here. Now some of that you're going to maybe adjust some of these lines when you get going, but I'm just going to kind of show you the easier way to draw a maple leaf. So on each one of these, like the top one, I'm going to do a little arrow. Now it's not actually touching the top of that line, it's a little bit above that line. There's another one. Even the straight line that goes across, I'm doing that one too. I just thought this little hack, and I'll put well, there's several of them that's doing this actually. But I'll put the one that I saw, the name. I forgot to do that to give them credit for it. I didn't come up with this, but I think it's a pretty neat little hack. So you've got your little arrows here, right? So on each side of these arrows, you're going to do like a little J, either a backward J or a regular J. So like on my left side here, I'm going to do a little J like that. My right side, I'm going to do another little J. Let me show you closer. Now the trick on this, guys, this is when we start making it our own. You can make a deeper J's or smaller J's. This is when you're going to make, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. You don't want it exactly perfect, right? But just make you your J's. Might make that one a little deeper. This one a little shorter. So this is when you kind of have fun creating your own. Looks like a Indian sign or something, doesn't it? Okay. From that J that you've made here, you do want to do some larger like U's. So let's say, and there again, you're going to make it your own. So let's start at the top here. I'm going to kind of make a halfway U coming down. And then I'm going to make a larger U to that next line. I'm going to turn it. Another U. And then a larger, deeper U. See how it's starting to come together? Isn't that cool? U and a deeper U. But that's up to you. You can go really come in there quite a bit. U shape. Now this isn't exactly, see, I can already tell this isn't as good as this one I did. But I'm showing you the method. I had a deeper U here. These are pretty deep. So, you know, you just kind of have to kind of play around with it. This needs to come up a little bit. And that's why you need to get an eraser here. But let's go ahead and finish this, because then I can show you the basic way to do it. So from here, your last lines on the right and the left, you're just going to come in and you're going to make a larger, maybe 1 or 2 U's to get to that point. Your stem, you're going to come out and you're going to make another line right next to that one. Now this is my part. I didn't see this on any video, but this is mine. And make a little, come all the way next to that one line you first did, come down and make like a little teardrop, and that way it looks like the leaf, the stem. Okay, now if I was going to do this again, I would come up a little taller. It's okay, you know, it's a fine leaf, but that's the part that you might need to adjust, maybe make this a little taller. So you see it now, and I'm going to show you. I am going to erase this. And I'm just going to erase a couple of these lines. So I'm going to come up a little taller with my line, my first original line. Make the little arrow on top, right? do the little J on each side, and then you're going to start doing the U's. Now see, look how that changed. Just maybe changing the proportion just a tad, right? Just a little bit. So from these lines here, I like to kind of start probably at the bottom. Now, I would not recommend going crazy on this, guys. Don't do that. You just want to show a few veins. So from that line there, from that original V, you're just going to come out. And they don't even have to be completely across from each other. You just want to show some type of veins here. Okay. And just like that, there's our sketch. Like I said, get it the way you want it. Probably if I do again, I may be doing a couple little U's here instead of one large one, but it's okay, right? Because leaves are completely different. They're completely different, each one of them. So you've got the idea of the main sketch, and see, compared one next to the other here. I personally like this one better, but that doesn't make this one wrong, right? It doesn't at all. It's just a different shaped maple leaf, and they all are different. Proportions to this one, it's more symmetrical. It is, where this one is not. But and I told you don't do it like that, right? So not everything was symmetrical in this one. This one has a larger, deeper U. This one's a deeper and narrower. So, you know, that's what makes it unique. So here we go. We got that. Let's start painting now, guys. So I told you the colors I had. The blue, the red, the yellow, the darker yellow, the ochre, and the brown, right? So the first thing, now mine is, I did this pretty dark, my sketching, because I wanted you to see it, right? So you're going to be able to see the lines. If you were doing this and you wanted to keep this, then you want to do the lines just dark enough that you can see them, but not bold like this. This is very bold, so you don't want to do that when you're watercoloring. If we were doing acrylic painting, that would be different because it's going to cover your lines. So I've got my water here, and I've got a larger brush. This is a round number 10. See, I don't use that very often, but I am today. So I've got it damp, my brush, and I'm going and I am just painting the inside. And if it gets a little dry, you don't want puddles of paint, but you do want it damp. So you just have to kind of play with this little thing. Just paint the inside, not anything on the outside. Because if you've worked with me before with watercolor, the water is what's going to make it flow and go different places, right? So I'm just wetting this down. And one trick is to lift that up and look at the light. Look at the reflection, and you will probably see a few places that you might have missed. Now I'm going to go over because these lights are really a little warm, and it's different than if you're at home and not having lights right over you. So I'm just doing the leaf part, not the stem. Then I'm going to get into my yellow here. Just my cad yellow. And I'm just taking from it. I'm not adding any colors to it yet. These are not, as you can tell, most of the time online I do the pan watercolors. These are not. I thought I'd do a little different, let you see how I work with these. These are from the tube. Okay, the one thing about this, you have to kind of work kind of fast. So I'm washing my brush out. I'm going to get into some of the red. Come over here on my handy dandy little mixer upper. I'm going to get into some of the yellow. I'm going to put some orange. And when I'm dropping this orange in, like I said, you have to kind of move quickly. It's going to do its own little thing because my paper is damp. That's why I love watercolors. It's just, you know, they're just fun to do. I can't help it. They're just fun to do. Now, if you weren't looking at all those lines there, that would already be pretty. I'm going to get into my yellow ochre while it's still damp. Still wet, and I'm going to just touch. See how I'm just touching some things on some of the ends. Don't want to maybe do all of it, but look how that beautiful color just mixes. It's just, oh, it's so relaxing to me. I'm not worried much about anything on this. And just kind of add it wherever you feel the need, right? Wash your brush out if you want. Okay, let's get some green in here. I'm going to get some of the ultramarine blue. I'm just doing this with my brush, just picking up a little bit of blue, and I'll get some of that with, it's got a little bit of everything in that yellow now. I got some green. Mix the blue and the yellow. And see, my paints are still damp. So, and my paper is still damp. So it's kind of doing its own thing. And that's what I thought this would be, just a beautiful one to do. Wash my, and they're creating their own little dance. Let's get in a little red. Let's get just some red here. Let's see what happens. There's no right or wrong. I'm just deciding where I want to place some colors. It's going to do its own thing. It's going to mix and, you know, carry on however it wants to carry on. If you guys do this, whenever you get a chance, like I said, I know we're just kind of popping in doing this one, which is probably how these 15-minute minis will be. But if you get a chance to do it, please, please, please share with everybody, because I think everybody will enjoy seeing the variety. I know I will. Now I'm getting into my burnt umber now. I'm going to put some at the base. This paper's kind of moving on me a little bit, so there'll probably be some puddles in places. So I'm just kind of tapping around. It just depends what kind of value. Do you want a little bit of a darker leaf? Do you want just a pretty bright yellow with a little bit of red in it maybe? Now this will change. This is the thing. This will change greatly as this dries. A little bit more yellow ochre here. Let's play some more. Work on my points a little bit here. Now this is a decision for you. Now we're doing this in 15 minutes, right? Or this is the goal. Or thereabout, right? But you can continue to add more. You don't have to do this at home in 15 minutes. I'm just showing you in 15 minutes how you can create a pretty fall leaf. And you will come, this is the part that you have to be careful, you will come to a point, like I am now, where it needs to stop. And I'm going to stop. I'm actually going to stop now. Now, if I wanted to do this even finer, I would grab my smaller watercolor brush, and I would really, and I will do this, we'll work the edges a little bit better. The points. See how much different that looks? Another thing you can do too, which really pops, makes it pop, is after you do this little number here, and you pick up your kind of fine tune your edges, then you can also let it dry, and you can use a paint pen or one of the micron pens that I talk about a lot, and you can outline this. About done with this here. Got to do the stem. Okay, see, that looks a lot better. Now I'm going to take my fine brush, washed it out, and I'm adding some water, a little bit on the stem here. Have to be careful not let that drip anywhere else. And you can see, watch me when I touch it. Probably doesn't show up too much though, but get some of my green here. Put that in there. You can use your green. You can use whatever color. I'm going to add a little bit more green. Mix a little bit more here. Darken that center bit. Now the thing you need to do is do some of the veins here. Now I'm just kind of doing it lightly. I don't really want a stark line in there. And if you noticed, I kind of did this last because I don't want them to completely fade away either. I'm doing them in the burnt umber. And because it's still a little damp, it's going to kind of spread out some. But if you like a real fine line that you want to do, then you can wait, let it dry. Lifting up a little bit, a little too dark for me. If I want one side kind of shaded and one lighter, which is their tiny little it's a tiny little thing. So okay guys, what time is it? Can't believe it. I think we did it. We sketched and we painted a 30-minute mini today. This is our first one, and like I said, you can do any colors you want. It's just amazing what you can do. But I showed you how to sketch it. Your maple leaf. Another leaf we can do. We'll do this real quick. Very simple. You're just going to do a teardrop. What I call a teardrop. It's kind of the same way. Get your color and just come like that. Just a rounded, what is that, an elm leaf maybe? I don't know. Same way, I'm going to do a yellow as a background. And maybe get into some of this green. I'm going to have to mix just a hair more here. And see, when you touch that, look what happens. Is that not super? A little red in here. Well, we got some yellow that's in here also, so we know what's going to happen here. And drop in a little bit more yellow. And do a little bit of the yellow ochre also. Kind of warm it up a little bit. And the brown. Well, I had fun, guys. I had a lot of fun doing this. This was fun. Something quick you can do anytime. And you can go ahead and do a vein in there in a little while. But experiment, you know, experiment with what you got. You can also do a vein when it's wet. Use the handle of your brush. And there you go. Look at that. Mine's probably a little bit too wet, but if I let it dry just a few more minutes, it would work better, but you can still, see? You can still see the vein. So here's our first 30-minute mini, and I must have had a little bit of water over here, so you just clean that up in case you do get something like that. You just kind of clean that up with your, lift that up in case it, if I dropped water and it gets a little bit too. I don't know if it was that or actually this paper is really changing shape because of the water. But here we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining in, and I know some of you were not able to come, but I hope you do this. make it your own, and just create your own maple leaf and any other kind of leaf you want to do, right, with that kind of method. So much love to you. Let me know, please, if you like this little 15-minute mini. We will talk later. Bye-bye.